Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by PlayPicks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are rolling along with some player props here for you guys on the first day of the first round of the NBA playoffs here as we get locked in. We are recording this as the Hawks locked up their victory. We know who's playing in the East now. Just need to wait on that Western one. But when you guys are seeing this, we will be tuned into these player props. So make sure to like and subscribe to that page as we're going to continue to bring these to you, as well as each and every game video throughout this postseason. And also head to thelines.com. We've got that props tool there for you. Make sure you're getting the best odds on all those NBA player props available throughout the playoffs. And head to play.thelines.com as well if you want the opportunity to win a $25 Amazon gift card by heading there, getting every single pick correct in that NBA Daily Challenge. And we, like I said, we'll send out that $25 Amazon gift card to as many people as who get it correct. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or a DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for today and tonight's play of props. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, I'm going with Ja Morant. I think the value is there because, like we were saying in the game video, there's reason to be concerned about some rust for him, having played just one game, just kind of a quick token performance against the Pelicans on April 9th. Basically been out since March 18th otherwise. Just resting a sore knee, though. Not like there's a huge concern. I mean, he should be 100% good to go here. And he's not a guy who struggles to have his wind too much. In his last 8 before his injury, Ja obviously lighting it on fire, 34.5 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists per game with a 37% usage rate. It's interesting that he struggled against Minnesota, or the numbers indicate that he hasn't been up to par. But you can kind of parse it out. I mean, he had 33 and 8 in the first meeting with them this season. So that gets you where you need to go here for 36.5 points and assists is what we're talking. Just minus 104 at FanDuel. The second one was a massive blowout. The third one, no Steven Adams. That does really hurt Ja's offense, the way he operates with him. And then the fourth one, he shot 7 for 25 from the field. Still had 20 points in a win and 34% usage rate there. This is a great matchup on paper, right? I mean, the Wolves allow the most assists per game. They've been allowing a league high 11 assists to point guards the last 15, the fourth most points to point guards the last 30. They also allow the most free throw attempts. They have an aggressive blitzing defense that Ja can knife through and just pick apart with lobs or dunks or floaters. He did have 34 and 37 his last 2 against Minnesota last year, and the total's 236 in this game. So, and he's the favorite to be the top point scorer at plus 125 there. So if he's going to lead this game in scoring, and it has the highest total of any playoff game we've had so far, and you're counting on him to maybe get 5 or 6 more assists besides that, I feel pretty comfortable about that. I think you can play around with some of these bonuses too, for him to get 30 points or 10 assists in the win. Because I think, the Grizz, after the way they went out in the playoffs last year, they're going to be charged up. They might have a slow start in the first quarter or something, but I think Ja will be the engine that keeps them going down the stretch and gets his points up.
Yeah, that would add up. I mean, I don't think there's any blowout factor, to be honest, in this game. I think, if anything, this is a weird game where, this is the one where the Timberwolves come out and they bring it and they really seem like they might be able to steal game 1 in the series and make it a legit series. And maybe they do pull it out. And that's the only reason I might stay away from a player performance double. But I think the Ja props are nice because I do think that even if, the Grizzlies do win this game, they're going to need to they're not necessarily going to struggle off the bat, but they are going to be giving up points to the Timberwolves. I think Timberwolves are going to come out really strong, really hot, and continue to sort of keep that momentum going that they built in their win in the play-in series, where they seemed like they won Game 7 of the finals. But we move on to the next prop that we both really like. We're kind of talking just point guards here for the Dallas Mavericks without Luka Doncic playing. Either Dinwiddie or Brunson, we can just mention both their points sit at 20.5 points at minus 116 on FanDuel. You might also consider Brunson assists. I know you like that, Nate. 4.5 for him is really bad odds at minus 152, because it seems like they really think that's the deal. But at 6 assists, if you sort of hit that at least 6 assists there, that's plus 130. So just one more than that 4.5 assists, right? It sounds like really good odds there. And I would agree with that. I think Brunson does take a bit more of the point guard, if you will, and facilitator role. I think Dinwiddie's a scorer. I think he's a puller. And I think he's a very dynamic player. I think he's like a better version of what Jordan Clarkson wishes he was, essentially, if he was a really competent NBA player, which is what I think Dinwiddie is. So, I think you look at what Dinwiddie does, specifically the points that he scores when he's not playing with Luka since he's come to the Mavs. You're talking about 31 points a game on 54, 46, 86 splits. Really, really great numbers for the dude who, at one point in time, it was like if he took a jump or a leap, he could be, a top 2 or 3 player on an NBA champion. And I think that's about his ceiling, to be honest. He could be the second banana on a championship team. That's how good I think he is. He's flourishing in this system where kudos once again to Jason Kidd, where I think, you see what happens once Luka comes out. Since Dinwiddie came to the team, since the team has been Jalen Brunson and Dinwiddie when Luka's out, that's who runs this team. We talked about it in that game video. So you look at what that means, and Dinwiddie at 20.5 points to me is just way too low. Like I said, in those games without Luka this season, 31 points a game. And last thing I'd say is whoever you consider a point guard between Dinwiddie and Brunson, I mean, the other thing I'll say is when they both play without Luka, they are the second most, they average the highest or second highest percentage of points off of unassisted field goals, because it's a lot of point guard pull up one-on-one play with some guys who can all break down other guys off the dribble. That's why you get a lot of unassisted field goals. So both of them can be considered point guards if you want. And Utah allows the 10th most points to that position, and is just not as good against guards, obviously, as the perimeter defense isn't close to what their interior defense is with Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, I think that's the key, is them being able to break down off the dribble and then just hit in the mid-range with Rudy Gobert playing that drop coverage. Brunson is a lot. He had 27 points without Luka on the floor on Christmas against this team. He is the prototype to burn a Rudy Gobert defense, kind of a lot like Chris Paul, the way he gets into the middle of the floor and then uses that quick dribble before pulling up. Always on balance, it seems, always taking good shots. And he's going to be the distributor. Yeah, I mean, he's averaging 7.5 dimes without Luka this season in a healthy sample size. So, yeah, for him to get 6 at plus odds, I definitely like that against a Jazz team that has not been very good on the road. And then in that Toronto-Philly game, I think we're all going to want to watch that, 6 p.m. Eastern. Pascal Siakam coming off a huge triple-double, 37, 10, and 12 against this team. Granted, no Matisse Thybulle in that game because it was in Toronto. Right. But it's not like Pascal has had much trouble scoring. With Thybulle out there, he's still averaging 27 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, shot 50% or better in 4 straight matchups with the 76ers. So for him to get 24 points is minus 105 there at FanDuel, or the 32.5 points rebounds. Don't mind adding that. Against a Philly team that's 29th in rebounding. They're also 28th in fast break points allowed, and Pascal may be the main reason Toronto is one of the top fast breaking teams out there. Philly's defense has been overrated. I mean, it was overrated initially when Harden got out there. I mean, now we see that it's just pretty damn vulnerable with Harden and Maxey in the backcourt. And they have a 115 defensive rating, their last 12 at home, allowing the 10th most free throws in that span. And Josh, as I always tell you, Pascal rolls out of bed and goes, "Ay," to try to get that foul call on his way out the door. So I think, he should get 24 points here to lead Toronto.
Yeah, the points are better odds on DraftKings at minus 106 than the points and rebounds, 23.5. I do like those. I think he's a bad matchup for this team. Even if Thybulle is in, like you said, he's still looking at better than 27 a game against this team in his last 5, and only one of those didn't have Thybulle. When he gets back into Toronto and there's especially no Thybulle, he's a really bad matchup for all of them, including mostly Tobias Harris and Danny Green, as we talk about in the game video. So I think he's a great bet to succeed against his team. To the extent that Embiid is also going to succeed against his team, we just really couldn't go ahead and feel great about 33.5 points as his prop in game 1 there against the Raptors, just because we know he kills them. We didn't really have necessarily the I don't want to say the guts to take it. We just weren't feeling it nearly as much as the value you're getting on Siakam, who also plays super, super well against this team. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and take an under on a man that everyone's going to think I'm maybe smoking a little something. And I promise you, regardless of what I'm smoking, it has nothing to do with the fact that I think Jokic is a good under in game one against this Warriors team. 29.5 points is minus 120 at DK, and the over is minus 105. So somebody agrees with me that this might be a pretty good under, as if you look in terms of who's setting these lines, that it's a better bet to take under 29.5 points. I'm looking at it because of the stats that I was looking at when I was trying to break down this game anyway, which we have that game video up for you, as I mentioned, because we have every single game video for you in the playoffs. I'll start just with on the road this season, 26 points a game. That's 2 fewer than at home, where he's averaging almost 29 because it's 28.4 or 5, whatever it is. So 20.5 at home versus 26 on the road. When he's playing Draymond Green, now I will say earlier in the season, he has a couple really, really good games against the Dubs when Draymond hasn't played against the Nuggets all season. So he's been doing that without Day-Day. That's Draymond's nickname, playing in any of those games. But in his career against Draymond, we're talking 23 points, not bad stats. Like, this guy's going to the Hall of Fame. And so his floor is 23 points, 10 boards, and 8 assists. And that's what he's averaging in his career in 35 minutes, with a decent individual offensive rating of 115, but below what you expect from a man who is, a walking offense unto himself. So I just think that, the 23 points a game against Draymond, the fact that he averages 3.4 points below what he needs to get to in his prop on the road this season. Also, I think it might be bloated because his last 10 on the road, he's averaging 29 points, 15 boards, 6.5 assists. But as we talk about in the game video, in those 10 road games, we're talking about Sacramento twice, Portland, Charlotte, Indy, LA, the Lakers, and the Wizards. All those teams are horrible on defense, or just not even real NBA teams at that point. His previous 15 road games, when he was playing teams like Boston, Toronto, the Bucks, etc., including the Warriors, 23 points a game in those 15 with 11.5 boards. I just like under the points, man. I just don't think against Draymond and the way that the Dubs play, they're back to their full squad. And when Draymond played on this team at home at the start of the season for the first 2 months, they were far and away the best defensive team at home with a 98 defensive rating. So I just think we're going to see that in game one. I'm not saying anything else about the rest of the series for now, except for in game one. Even if Joker has a great game and goes for 25 and 15, he's not getting 30 points, is my point.
First of all, I'm proud of you for going out on a limb. You refused to take Trae Young in that first play-in game on the under. And now you're taking the boldest move with the prospective MVP under in his first playoff game. I'm with it on the points for sure. He's not a prolific 30-point reliable scorer at this point. He is a guy who will fill it up. I'd be scared of taking anything involving his rebounds and assists, but honestly, I kind of think this could be a blowout. I think the Warriors are sort of forming like Voltron. It depends if Curry is going to be healthy enough. But you look at Draymond, they've only played 4 home games since Curry went down. And the last 3, Draymond started to play around 30 minutes a game, started to flirt with his triple doubles and post things like a 92 defensive rating against the Suns, with the team posting great defensive numbers overall. If he's playing like that, then we're looking at the Warriors at the beginning of the season where they were allowing about 101. And there's just not going to be a ton of available stats out there for Jokic or for the Nuggets. I still worry that Jokic could get 30 points and the rest of his team does absolutely nothing. But I think there is a chance maybe the Nuggets are scratching their heads after this one and going back to the drawing board because they're like, oh, we are sort of facing one of the championship favorites, and they are ready for this one at home.
That's what I'm banking on. And by the way, I did take Trae Young under 42.5 points and assists in that game one in the playing game. So I agree with you there. This is the under we like in this one. Maybe they're not as fun, but there's plenty to like on this Saturday slate. So that is all the time we have for you for our player props. First one of the playoffs here. So until we see you next, happy betting.